Bridget Jones Diary, 2001. I thought I'd watch this again. I first saw it in April 2001 when it was first released in the cinema in the UK, and I was looking for a short film to watch one evening this week, and I thought this fits the bill because I haven't seen it for such a long time, and I thought I'd check what I thought of it now. And it is, I guess it is dated, but I found it pretty funny. I found it as funny as I may have done 23.5 years ago. So it stars Renée Zellweger as the eponymous Bridget Jones. It also stars Colin Firth and Hugh Grant. And there's a few famous scenes that I remember from when I first saw it. And there's quite a lot that I'd forgotten about. So um, one of the things that is most endearing about Bridget Jones, from my point of view, is that she decides to write a diary. And I've spent many years from at least from the age of 11. In fact, before then, I was writing diaries. But when I was 11, I started a proper data page A5 diary, and I filled it. I wrote so much, and it's of course just the mindless ramblings of a 11-year-old. But it's my thoughts, and I find it quite fascinating now when I chat back to one of my diaries, especially in all those years of angst as I went through my teenage years. In fact, much later, all the difficult years I had in my 20s. And the less difficult years, my 30s and 40s, well, I moved on to blogs and I've written a lot of online stuff, but I often decide to refer back 20 years just to see what I was doing, and often I still remember quite a lot of a particular month or date, from many years. My memory seems to be largely geographical, but I um, have some patches where I've forgotten things, but I do remember an awful lot. But it's I find it fascinating to actually see the actual words I put down on a particular date, as um, it's the specific details that I sometimes have um, um, forgotten, or which have faded a little bit from my memory. So Bridget decides early on in this film that she is going to keep a diary, and she puts down all the things that she's most obsessed with: her calorie count, her weight, sort of things that I've gone through phases where I've measured my weight, and I um, tend to feel now it tends to be around 78 kilos. It does go up, does go down a bit sometimes. It probably will go up, given as it's Christmas and there's all this food to eat. But um, I, I don't think I'm as obsessed with that sort of detail now. I I don't measure my calories, thankfully. I do pay attention to my step count, although it's mainly if I can reach over 10,000, then that's fine. That's what I need. I'm interested in how much I sleep, and that's more difficult. I wish I could sleep more. I wish I could get consistent 7 hour nights of worth of sleep, but I'm not very good at that for some reason. Well, one of the main reasons is I've been getting a lot of pain with my back and arthritis and things like that, and that makes it difficult. I turn over and wake up, and well, I could write a diary on stuff like that, but it wouldn't interest anyone, would it? But with Bridget's diary, she writes a lot about her relationships and their cis straight relationship. She's interested in these two men. Darcy is played um, by Colin Firth. Did I say Colin Farrell? Colin Firth, anyway. Gonna have to check back. Then there's her boss. I mean, it's a bit icky, really, isn't it? People, a boss who flirts as much as Hugh Grant does, and I think that's one of those situations that's hopefully changed for the better as the decades rolled on since 2001. I mean, Bridget does go along with a lot of um, um, these flirtations, but and this sort of back and forth that keeps happening. I mean, it is really funny. I found it really funny, but oh my gosh, the uh, the way patriarchy is, I don't know. The way men treat women is not good, and I'm relieved that I don't. I'm I'm relieved that I'm demi-ace and I'm not particularly interested in starting a relationship. There's lots of good reasons not to be in a relationship as far as I'm concerned. But I do actually still like watching rom-coms and stuff like Bridget and her hapless comings and goings can be really entertaining, and I feel like I'm going along with the ride. I'm going to score this 7.5 out of 10. It is very funny. I laughed quite a bit, but I do feel there are elements that I hope are dated. I mean, gosh, where are we now in 2024? It feels in lots of ways we're going backwards. I mean, given the US election results and all the trends over there and the depressing impact it might have on the UK. And we've just had the verdict and the sentencing of the case where Giselle Pellicott got raped multiple times, and she is the Woman of the Year in the European newspaper. The New European newspaper declared that, but she is like the hero, the heroine of this year, as far as many of us are concerned. Um, I mean, to actually go into court to um, forego her anonymity and relive the trauma of all that experience and all those um, vile acts that were committed against her. Um, well, I mean that's the that's the state of the world now in 2024. And there were difficult things back in 2001. I remember that. I mean, it was a year, of course. A matter of a few months after that, this film release, we had the 11th of September attacks, and there was foot and mouth in 2001. There's quite a few things I remember from that year. I went on this holiday to Scotland that summer, and I loved it. But that year does feel very strange. We had a UK election, and Labour got in for a second term um, under Tony Blair. That was. Um, I mean, 23 years on, there's a lot of difficulties. I'm still glad that Labour won this general election that we had in July this year, but there are so many difficulties, and the the fact that the right wing are on the ascendancy um, in many parts of the world is really troubling. Uh, I mean, one of the reasons I watch films like Bridget Jones is simply because it's escapism. It's just getting away from the awfulness of everything that is going wrong in contemporary life. Um, so, um, I think Renée Zellweger's fabulous, and I mean, I wish she hadn't needed to put on weight deliberately for this role, which I believe she did. I don't suppose that can be that healthy, yo-yoing in weight. Um, but I do like Bridget Jones as a character, and she does feel very vulnerable in various ways, and very, I think, human and likable. She makes a lot of the sort of mistakes that many 32-year-olds do. So um, I did find do find her endearing. And then there's all these things like this fight between her two suitors, and all the back and forth, and it's uh, it's a fun film. That's all I'll say. I'd love to know what you think if you've seen this film at any point in the last 23 years. Please let me know any disagreements or any agreements, and thanks if you like this film, and thanks if you subscribe, and please ring that bell for notifications, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.